program is part of the Scene Project's podcast network. The Scene Project features interviews with independent musicians, comedians, and artists from across the Midwest. Become part of our community and support local art wherever you are. Welcome into a very exciting episode of The Scene. I'm your host, Bubba Startz, and with me today is my buddy D. Santos. What's happening, brother?
Yo, man, a lot of things happening right now, like some good news coming. And by the way, thanks for having me here today.
No, it's great. You've been featured on the website and everything a little bit. We did a quick Q&A, but for those of them that didn't read it, why don't you go ahead and share, who you are and what you do?
All right, sounds good. Well, my name is De Santos. I'm a Brazilian hip hop artist in Minnesota. I live in the Twin Cities, and yeah, I've been just trying to get my music out there and share my story with people, with everybody.
Well, and that's a big part of your message. We kind of got into that, in our chats online. A lot of what you do is to inspire other artists, right? And to inspire just people in general. There's a very great message behind your music. Has that always kind of been the case since you started writing and performing?
I would say so, because I come my background basically is just like overcoming stuff, overcoming everything in life. And then my way up here, it was like some struggles that I have like to go over it. And I was just like living in my head basically most of the time. And then my current partner basically took me out of that zone, and then just like push me forward, like to start like writing and share my story. And then I was like, you know what? Since I overcome like a lot of things, I think other people can also do the same, because after the rain, for me, after the storm, there's like the rainbow, there's like the sunshine as well. And then that's what I try like to bring with my music when I'm like writing and just like feeling it out and just taking the ideas out there, because I know there's more people like me as well out there going through its struggles. Everyone goes, actually, to be honest, everyone has like our own struggles daily. And I think that we can overcome,
That's something in the scene and with our network as a whole. It's a common theme, right? I've overcome a lot in my life. In my life, right? I've been to prison and come through a lot of struggles, divorce and having children and a lot of things. And sharing that story is how it's how I connect with myself, but it's also how I connect with you and with everyone else, right? So I love that, when you began on that journey, that it clicked for you really quickly, that like sharing your personal story is the healing, right? It's not just about making music. It's about sharing the personal stories, because we are not as unique as we like, right? Each one of us are unique, but our stories and our situations are a lot more common than I think we give each other credit for. Yours obviously very unique, immigrating from out of the country, born in Brazil, correct?
Yeah, correct.
So immigrated to the United States at what age?
It was back the first time, it was back in 2017. I came, I spent a couple months in Florida, and then I moved to Copenhagen, Denmark, went back to Brazil, and then I came back the second time to America back in 2018. And then I spent 1 year in New York, moved all the way to Portland, Oregon, and then I spent 5 months out there, came to Minnesota back in 2020, and then I've been here ever since.
Incredible. Well, I mean, what a story that is, where you're going to be a multi-time guest just to get that out there. You probably need
Yeah,
your own podcast, but we can talk about that off camera.
that sounds good.
Oh man. Well, yeah. Talk about coming to America from Brazil in 2017. How old were you then?
Um, I think I was 23, if I'm not wrong,
Still a
because I
very
was
young
born in
person.
19. Yeah, I was born in 1995, and I'm not good at mathematics, so I think like 23, 20 something around there.
Yeah, well, a very young man, right? A very young person coming from, Brazil, and depending on where you're at, in Brazil, were you in like Rio, or where did you grow up in Brazil?
Well, my hometown, I was born in Ribeirão Preto, which is like 3 hours and a half away from São Paulo city. And then, yeah, it's like the second largest city in the state. So I'm like more a city boy, let's say like that.
Right. Well, and which explains that when you come to the States, or even when you go to Denmark, Copenhagen's a major metropolitan area. A
Yeah.
lot different than American cities, right? European cities aren't as tall as the American cities became built, obviously, hundreds of years later. But you've experienced the East Coast, right? New York City, the city
Yeah.
that never sleeps, but you've experienced the West Coast of the United States as well. And I feel
Mhm.
like Minneapolis is kind of a little bit of both of those. And you have the Midwest nice, the Minnesota nice factor as well. Can you kind of talk about visiting these major metro areas, spending a little time there, and why you kind of settled in Minneapolis?
Well, this is a good question. So basically, living in New York is like, I don't know, for me, it was something new because as you said, like it's the city that doesn't sleep, never sleep actually. Whatever you want to do, anytime of the day, in early morning, you will find it. That's like for sure. And then when I lived in New York, I lived in Westchester County. So it wasn't like New York City, but I was like 45 minutes away by train. So it was basically whenever I wanted to go, just boarding on the train, go Grand Central, and then boom, anything you want to do is right there.
Takes me
And
45 minutes to get to a Walmart out here, brother.
wow, this is crazy. This is crazy. I can't tell because like for example, in New York, 45 minutes, I was in the city, had anything I wanted. In Portland, on the other side, I was kind of far like from everything as well. So if I wanted to like go to Walmart, for example, I had to drive 20 minutes. If I wanted to get like burger, I had to drive 35 minutes. So it was kind of like out of the way. Without a car in Portland, you don't live it, basically. Do they have good public transportation? Yes, they do. But
I've lived
yeah,
out there. I lived in Oregon, and I visited Portland and a few of those. And like you said, I mean, I was basically homeless and a vagabond when I was out there. So getting around, I had more success hitchhiking than I did, taking public transportation, right? It was just easier to find somebody going the same direction almost than it was to try and catch a train to a bus to another train or whatever. And so yeah, I feel
yeah.
you there. We don't really have public transportation out here, as you can imagine. If you don't have a car in South Dakota, you're in big trouble.
I would say like in Minneapolis as well, like Minnesota as well. If you live like within the Twin Cities, you can get around, but like let's say you live in St. Paul and work in Minneapolis, you can definitely use the public transportation. It's good, yeah. But like let's say you live in St. Paul and works in Fridley, then it's kind of like a little bit out of the way because you have to board like train and then you get like the light rail, bus till you get like to your final destination. So it's kind of like a little bit of work, but it still can work out. But like let's say South Dakota, North Dakota, yeah, it's yeah. I feel the pain for you.
Well, and then it's cold all the time, and it can be brutal this time of year. But I
Mhm.
always say it makes for hard people, and hard people make for really good communities. And that's
Yeah.
what we have, that these metropolitan areas, in their various forms, can kind of lack. What was your I want to know the difference between like your community now in Minneapolis compared to like the community that you had, that you came from in Brazil. Were you making music down there? Did you have a crew and a group of people around you that were creatives, similar to what you kind of have established in Minneapolis now?
Um, well, it's interesting because I started like writing in Brazil, but like not music. I started with poems. So I have like folders and folders in my hometown,
In
but
Portuguese?
and Portuguese, yeah. I kind of like I don't feel like sharing them because it's not the right moment yet. but I started like with music, rapping. Um, that was like mid 2021, if I'm not wrong. And then, but like I play instruments, back in Brazil. I played bass, I played guitar, I played a little bit of drum. I know how to play ukulele. I was trying to learn how to play harmonica, but it's kind of hard. Yeah, and then besides that, just like writing music, I started like 2021, but writing like lyrics like way before back then, but like poems, stuff like that.
Interesting. Interesting. So you've always kind of been more of a writer than a performer, but with rap and hip hop music, you've kind of found where you could bring the two of them together.
Yeah, because like growing up, I don't know, like the like hip hop and rap for me, I grew up just like listening to old school Brazilian, and also like the American old school, like Tupac, Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, Biggie, Eminem. And then later on, I kind of like met Mac Miller. And then I was like, damn, this is like so dope. But like in Brazil, we have some great names as well. Racionais MCs, we have Sabotage, we have um Gabriel o Pensador. It's kind of like so many great names, and it's kind of impossible not to be like influenced by them because it's basically, I grew up listening to them, and then all of a sudden I saw myself in a situation that I could use my passion for writing and then my love for music, the genre, and then I was like, you know what, we can definitely try to combine all of them and then try to, put my story out there. And it's been working great so far, to be honest. I've been happy with like the achievements I've got in my life with music as well. I know I haven't been in the business for that long, but you know, I've been like performing at like public events, private events as well, and like my first show for 2025 is gonna be on January 30th in Minneapolis, and I'm like so pumped because it's gonna be like the day that I'll be releasing my single too.
Perfect. So you got a big month leading up to it, just a few weeks away. Some new stuff happening. We got a new single coming out. You got a big show. Where's the show going to be at?
It's gonna be at Studio Pintura in Minneapolis downtown.
Awesome. Love the name of the studio.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's like an art like building, and then it's gonna be like amazing. And we already have like the full waiting list already, and then like a lot of people coming, artists, like different cities around here as well. So I'm like really pumped to meet more people and connect with like more people in the business as well. So I think it's gonna be like really great just to have this opportunity to share my music with them too.
Well, that sounds wonderful. I don't want to take up too much of your time today. This is just kind of a get to know you session. Glad we got a chance to plug the shows and to talk about that. De Santos, we could talk for hours and hours and hours about your
Correct.
story. And I hope that I just get to continue to follow your career and to hear those stories through music. Because that's what it's really about, right? Is taking all this life experience that you and I both have a plethora of, and how do we turn that into digestible, content and lessons for people to glean from? And yeah, you're in it. You're doing it every day. You're writing and releasing music, and I'm so proud of you, man. I hope you just keep going.
Thanks. I really appreciate the time. I appreciate your words as well. And there's a reason for us like our path like to crossed. So I just wish you all the best in life, and may the angel be with us.
Well, De Santos, thanks for being part of the scene.
Thank you so much. And well, I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thanks for tuning in to the Scene Projects Podcast Network. We appreciate you listening. You can find more at thesceneprojects.com. Join our community. Got an ocean full of love that's made for two. We can sail upon the ocean breeze, and sunshine feels like you loving me. We got a good thing